Okay, so this is my table, which I call beanbag sometimes because a lot of newer photographers will actually use a beanbag instead of a table. But you can use, of course, a table. You can even use a bed, whatever in your house has the best lighting. Tables are a little bit easier because you can kind of wiggle them around depending on where you want the lighting. So underneath this table, I have a bunch of blankets. So I probably have like 6 to 8 blankets. If you can find thicker blankets, you might not need as many. But yeah, I have a bunch of really thick blankets. And then underneath, you'll see I have 2 wrapped burp cloths. So that's kind of what I use to help position the baby. So that's what I have underneath there. And if you want to do multiple colors, I like to layer the colors in the order that I want to do the colors. So I'll show you what I mean here. So right now I have a gray, just because I'm going to pretend that this baby's a little boy right now. And then I'm going to show you how I do it for a girl. And you know, you can always just kind of layer them. So it's easy to just take off a layer rather than having to completely adjust the whole table for a different style photo. So right now, I'm going to have my little baby right here. I'm doing it at a really weird angle because I want you guys to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to lay my baby on here. So never take your hand off baby until the baby is positioned. So right now I'm still holding them by the shoulder here and the head. So I have baby on the one blanket here. So I have the baby there. But right now this baby's body is too big for where I put the footrest or the foot support. So I'm going to move that so that the baby is nice and positioned. So move it around, play with it around until you find that you have a position that you really like. So I have the baby like this. So this part here is just going to help keep the baby in place, and then this one here is going to keep that baby's head at a nice angle. So at this point I feel like baby's secure, so I will let go. And then another really important thing for photos is to try to get rid of all the wrinkles, because they don't photograph well, right? When there's a bunch of wrinkles, it's a lot easier to edit as well if they have not as many wrinkles. So I have the baby right about here, and I'm going to show you the angles that I would typically take for photos. So this is one of my favorite positions, and I'll show you exactly how I would move the table so that this baby is shadowed perfectly. So see how it's very light on one side and a lot more shadowed on the other side. So you're always just gonna have to adjust. Sometimes if babies are really small, you might need 2 burp cloths underneath just to really give that head a little bit of a pop. I could almost even put another one underneath. I'm gonna just show you. So I'm just gonna fold that like a little burrito. And then I'm gonna pop it underneath. Like that. So now it has a really nice, really nice look. If the baby's eyes are open, I always like to stroke their forehead to their nose. It, for some reason, gets them to close their eyes a little bit. So this right here is my ideal positioning. You can even move the camera a little bit this way. Sorry, I'm working on a tripod. If it gets a little creaky, I'm sorry about that. So again, you'll see here that the wrap was a little bit out. So what I just like to do is I like to just tuck it in until I find that it looks perfect. So yeah, so you'll see that they're a little ball here. If you were to wrap with the legs out and untucked, they would kind of be extremely long. So I do personally find a little round ball to really accentuate just how petite they really are. So sometimes the wrap doesn't always exactly stay, but that's okay. Usually I fix that in editing, but you know, I'm trying to make it as perfect as I can for you guys. Sometimes you can just tuck it under the fabric behind. So there. So now they're like a little ball, and you'll see how this whole setup is. This is ideally the angle that I would actually shoot the baby at as well. So yeah, so you can see that the lighting's looking really flattering and such. So I'll actually show you exactly what I mean when I say wrap with intention. So now what I'm gonna do is, let's say we wanted to change to a different color. So I'm gonna show you like this. So I would lift the baby's head up, drop the head. While you're doing this, sometimes you're gonna have to shush them or just kind of give them a little tap. They really seem to enjoy being patted on the back. I can't get over this one eye, just oh my goodness. So I have this one here. So what I use for my fabrics are usually just cotton fabric that you can buy usually online or Fabricland, etc. You can use 2 meters. You can buy 2.5 meters if you want to make a wrap out of the fabric. Really easy to do so. You just would grab the one side of the fabric and just cut along one edge, and you would actually get a matching wrap to go with your fabric. So see how I easily changed the backdrop without the baby really being moved much. So you want to move the baby as least amount as possible, because if you're just kind of jostling them around, obviously they're going to start to wake up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap the baby. So anytime I'm unwrapping the baby, I'm always keeping one hand on them, just so I can slightly lift up their bottom and kind of unwrap. And also, babies, especially newborns, love pressure. So the more pressure you're putting onto them, obviously not too much, but enough so that they feel secure. The main reason why a newborn will be upset during a photo session would be because they're cold or because they just don't feel secure. So when you're doing these positions, especially because you're not used to doing them all the time, I would definitely have a partner just kind of stand close to baby, out of frame, but close enough to baby that if they were to roll or move, that, you know, your partner could catch them, just in case. Chances are when they're wrapped like this, they really can't move, but when you're dealing with an older baby, it can definitely happen sometimes. So here, now I'm just gonna add a little headband, like as if it was a little girl. I tend to like my headbands on the opposite side of where the head is on the table. So right now, again, I have my lighting coming from right here. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but I have my lighting coming from there. So the lighting's not coming from this side, it's not coming from directly above her head, it's not coming, you know, it's coming right this way. So it's giving her the most flattering shadowing. So, so there you go. So now you have this one. So now I completely changed the look with moving the baby the most minimal amount as possible. So that's kind of how I do the poses. If you're feeling really adventurous and you really want to try try to do this pose with no wraps on, I would recommend just lifting them how they are now, putting them in a prop or two, taking a few photos of the props, and then bringing them back on here, settle them, and then you can unwrap again all the layers, and they'll be in their little outfit or naked, and then you can have them in this position as well. So now I'm going to show you how to stuff your baskets. This is really important. You want to give the baby enough head support so that they're, you know, supported. So what I like to do is have multiple blankets, and as well as if you're going to use a basket with a corner, you're going to want to put something to just kind of give the corner a cushion so that the baby can rest on it. So I'm just going to grab a little burp cloth and I'm just going to drape that over the side. And then to hide that, I'm going to use one of the basket stuffers that I was explaining to you at the beginning, and then you're going to use that to hide it so that it looks pretty in the photos. So then again, you're also going to want to build up the bottom of the basket to, I don't know if you can see exactly what I'm doing, but I'm putting a burp cloth right here, and you might not, depending on the size of the baby, you might even have to put a few of the burp cloths down, because this is lifting the baby up and out of the basket, because you want her head to rest right about here. So So even this baby is too small. If I were to rest her like that, she's completely down. So what I'm going to do is put another blanket underneath her. So when you're positioning them in the basket, you can always hold the bottom. And if you can't do this with one hand, you can ask your partner to shove a blanket underneath them. But what I'm going to do is just shove the blanket underneath her. So that she's nice and supported. What you want in the basket is that they're going to be nice and supported. So see, all the blankets did, and then now she's really nice and secure. So obviously you would want to put this one underneath. So I'm just going to drape it underneath. I'm going to take her out. Now that I know like where she's good, I'm going to drape it in a way that I think is flattering. And I'm gonna put her down. So I want her in the yellow wrap. So again, you can do this inside, or probably the easiest way is to unwrap her on your lap. I'm just gonna do it in the basket. So now she has a beautiful mustard wrap. At this point, you can change the headband to match the wrap. Then I'm just going to put that on her head here. And there you go. So see how I move, like now that she's in the prop, it's a lot easier to move her around to where I want it, where I want the shadowing, right? You're going to want bright on this side, shadow on the other side. So just angle the prop until you find a flattering light. So I like it right about there. So now you have that. So this right here is an angle that I find really flattering to take a prop photo. You can always do a little close-up, do their little face, do a little zoom out. So just have fun. Find different angles to photograph your baby. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but when you're photographing baby, you always want to photograph down the nose and not up the nose. So you'll see that this camera angle is very high, and I find that the higher the camera angle, the better, because now in this position, you're focusing on her beautiful eyes and her little nose, and her features look a lot more delicate than if you were to photograph from a downward angle. Another prop setup that I really like is a bucket. Buckets are really easy to stuff as well, because you're just going to build up the support. So I'm going to add two or even 3 burp cloths depending on how small baby is. And then again, I'm using this as another stuffer. I'm going to use the same ones just because I feel like these match better. So see how the basket's now stuffed? So you could stop here and you could honestly just plop your baby in like that and take the photos as such. Or if you have any pillows and such, I really like to add pillows into buckets. So I'm going to add that pillow right about there. And then now I'm going to add baby. And there you go. Now you have a really cute photo. So if this pillow is too high for the baby, you can always just kind of push it in a little bit more, just kind of find a flattering angle. Obviously this baby's head is not falling the way an actual newborn head would. Usually the newborn head would fall back. So yeah, so that's a really simple, easy way to do a basket photo. And you can use whatever stuffing you want. If you have a fuzzy blanket or anything as such, you can totally use that. But not least, I'm going to show you how to use a fuzzy blanket if you have one. I really like these because the way we're going to do this photo, I can actually edit the baby into a digital background, meaning that I can put the baby into a photo with a background that you like. I'll try to post an example for you guys. So this is probably one of the easiest photos you can take. The rug's my favorite. You just kind of fluff it up around the baby and position the fur in a way that you find flattering. So what I did is I put baby's head on top of these two burp cloths here. This is possibly the absolute easiest way to take a photo, I think. If you have anything like this, so easy. And then what you can do is, let's say, so right now I don't find the lighting flattering for the baby, so I'm just gonna rotate her until I find it flattering. So that's that. And so remember how she has a little outfit underneath? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold my hand on top of her and I'm gonna slowly start to unwrap her. So with a real baby, you might have to be a lot slower. However, I don't have much time left on my memory card, so I'm just trying to speed it up as much as I can. So I always keep my hand on the little legs to just kind of keep them nice and happy, because they feel nice and secure this way. So then at this point, the whole wrap is off. And now you can see the little outfit. And what I'm going to do now is, because their legs have no support, I'm going to add a little burp cloth right under her legs. So you can't really see it, but I'm just using this blanket here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm just using a blanket because she's going to need extra support under her legs, because a real baby's legs are going to fall. So a real baby's legs are going to fall, so keep on adding any support onto the legs until you feel that their legs look really nice. And then at this point, they're gonna probably not have, you're not gonna have as much control over their hands, but what you can always do is just kind of gently place their hands where you want it. And I always just kind of rest my hand where I want them to be. And I just very, very, very slowly let go of my hands, and then I can take a photo. When it comes to these photos, I actually like to take the rug photos. Sorry, the camera's a little shaky. I actually like to take these rug photos from directly above. Just like that. I think that is a perfect photo. If you have any additional questions, please let me know. I am happy to help, and I hope that this helped you. Mom! And you wanted to join, huh? Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I helped.